say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney prior to and during any questioning. You can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights?
Your crime spree was over, son. Yeah, you thought you had it licked, but Hitman in Overton made you shoulda turned to shit. Get ready, you're gonna do time. Real life, real crime.
Warning. This episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, will contain descriptions of acts of violence or that are of a sexual nature and should be for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. Jim and I did not get the facts of these cases off of the internet or from some television show. The facts we're retelling you were presented to us by the victims of the crimes or the perpetrators who committed the crimes against the victims. My description of the crime scenes are what I saw with my own two eyes. If you're going to get offended, please turn this podcast off now. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And with me, my co-host, Jim, the Hitman Raffman. What's up, Jim?
What's going on, Woody?
Getting ready to lay down another episode for all the lifers out there.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you, I'm still very excited from this past weekend at the Basin. That was an amazing event, man. I loved it.
That is definitely a once a year kind of party, throwdown. But it was awesome. We appreciate everybody for coming out. But y'all, we're gonna do more of a serious episode today, and it's a hard subject. And I'm talking to Jim about it. It just, I think it's something we need to do. So we're not going to mention any names. We're not going to mention a location unless they weren't from around here, locations or addresses or whatever, because it's not something we're doing to sensationalize it. We're doing it because hopefully we can help somebody else from stopping to do it in the future. Joe?
To bring awareness.
Right. And so we're going to call this episode A-29S. Jim, tell them what that means.
Suicide. That's what A-29 is.
Yeah, you know how cops use 10 codes is what they're called. The code for a person committing suicide is A-29S. You knew if you were getting dispatched to an A-29S, it was going to be a suicide case. And we work so many of them. You would never believe how many suicides happen every day that as a detective or even in uniform patrol that you have to respond to. And the reason for that is we never, ever put it on the media unless it was a murder-suicide thing. And we did that past episode. You murdered us both. But if you killed yourself, you didn't get on the news for it, and that was one of Willie Graves' thing. And I think that's a pretty smart thing that he always did. Plus, the family's gonna be traumatized enough as it is. So today's episode is more about. We're gonna tell you a couple ones that stick out in our heads, and we're unrehearsed and unscripted. I don't even know which ones Jim's gonna say, but we're gonna tell you a couple, and then we'll tell you some cause and effects behind it, and hopefully some ways to, if you're going through it or someone you know going through it, you can see the signs and get them some help. Right, Joe?
I agree with you. Awareness is key. Knowing the identifiers of somebody that's struggling and knowing where to go for help. Those are all critical things, and I'm sure we'll cover that throughout the episode today. But, this isn't to sensationalize like what he had said. It's just to bring awareness.
Right. And, one of the big things is now, Jim, veterans. Tell us real quick about that. How many... actually, let me back it up for a second. The this really came to my mind. One of our lifers works for the VA, and she had contacted me about bringing some information to the basin on suicide prevention. And I don't think that she showed up, or I didn't get to meet her because of the size of the crowd. But it's, if you work suicides and then you have to deal with the families and stuff like that, and so many of them could be avoided. So that's why we're doing this. But Jim, tell us about the veterans.
So unfortunately, I've lost a lot of friends that I served with since coming back from combat. What people don't understand, there's a few things that play into it. I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent with this real quick, but what a lot of the soldiers are experiencing overseas, when you're living that kind of environment and you're being shot at and you're returning fire and, you see casualties on both sides, it plays a heavy toll on you. It plays a heavy toll on your heart. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize is each and every time you get in a firefight, you get that adrenaline spike. Everybody has that response in them, that fight or flight mode. And so when you get in enough of those firefights and enough of those adrenaline spikes, it's like having a drug, and you become addicted to that drug. And when you bring a soldier back to the United States after they've experienced that heck, some of these guys in Iraq went for 18 months. That is insane. But just going in that environment, living in that environment, being involved with those firefights, and then coming back and trying to live an everyday life where you're not getting shot at anymore. You no longer have that adrenaline spike. You search for it. You need it, but you don't know how to get it. And you start to really struggle. You become depressed. So you're finding reasons, drinking, pills, riding motorcycles 120, 130 miles per hour. I've even known of soldiers that go out and just pick a bar fight just for the sake that they just needed the adrenaline spike. And when you can't get what you need, you become incredibly depressed. There's not a lot of people that really understand what you've been through. They can hear you, but they don't know what you actually experienced. And you don't really, as a soldier, you end up feeling alone. And when you get out and you're no longer serving and you're back in your home community, if somebody hasn't been to combat, they have no idea what it is that you're going through. They have no idea what it is that you experienced. And so when you become incredibly alone and you have the visualizations of what happened every single day, it just takes you over and you end up succumbing to that. And it's really tragic. And I know that the VA and the government is working really hard to come up with suicide prevention awareness for soldiers. They're doing a lot more for the soldiers out there that have experienced, had some traumatic experiences. And, they want this numbers to lower, and they're working as hard as they can. We've been at battle now for 19 years on foreign soil. That's a long time for us to be at war. And, at least they've put in the time and the research to try to figure this out. I will tell you that for the soldiers that are out there that are listening to this, if you've served and you've served in a combat zone, first and foremost, even though I'm a veteran myself, we can't thank you enough for what you have done, and we love you. And I promise you, if you're a soldier out there that feels like you need to reach out or you need some help, message us at Real Life Real Crime, and I'll make sure you get put in touch with the right places to help you out, because I've lost too many soldier friends, and I would hate to see another soldier take their life. So reach out. I'm a veteran. I've been to combat. I've got the badges to go with it. I can at least empathize and sympathize and go through those experiences with you, but I promise you we'll get you in the right direction.
Right. Jim, what is that national number, the average now, on veterans that kill themselves every day?
I want to say
it's in the 20s.
I haven't looked at it in a little bit. Is it like 17, 21 a day, something like that? I
knew it was like 22 or something at one point.
It's way too high. One is too much.
Right. And then they're not the only one that suffers too, right? Every one of them has the family members who actually, I know you know this, when you were deployed, the family actually deploys with you, right? And then you come back and the family, so it's the whole bad scene.
It's bad all the way around. A lot of times people always think about the soldier that's gone, but really what happens when you deploy like that is let's just say the spouse is staying back and their small kids, they are now living that life without you in it, and you're gone. You've got something to focus on. You're overseas with your other soldiers trying to survive. Meanwhile, your spouse is staying back in the United States, trying to keep everything in order. And then another big problem is when that deployment is over, the soldier comes home and now wants to reinsert himself with his family, but that spouse has been living this whole time without you there. They're not used to you being there as a helping hand. So you end up, crossing each other's paths one too many times, and, it's tough. And then, when a soldier takes their life, I mean, it's just an awful situation all the way around. And I know that they're working to fix a lot of those issues, but there's a lot of things that people never thought of before. The spouses suffer like crazy. I mean, they got to worry about you being overseas and what's happening to you, while also trying to put on a smile for the kids, working overtime to put food on the table or whatever needs to happen to keep a normal life going. It's insane.
Well,
it really is.
Well, so we're going to get into today. It's not just veterans, y'all. It's everybody, and we're going to tell some stories of cases that we actually worked. A couple of them pop into our minds, and we are going to make it. I'm going to visually, visually describe and make sure that you understand that when you hear about somebody committing suicide, it's not just something that you could just float out of your mind again. So I'm going to be descriptive of the scenes, and there's a reason for it. It's not to be gory, but it's so you can understand that this is a very real thing, and hopefully, whether it's a veteran or a husband or wife, whatever, hopefully somebody will hear this and maybe save a life one day. So Jim, tell me one that sticks out in your head.
Well, let's see here. So one of them that sticks out was when I was on uniform patrol. It was coming towards the end of my uniform patrol days before going to detectives. Actually, Woody, I believe you and I ended up working. We did work this one together. I went to a disturbance call, and the disturbance there was a couple that had gone out drinking, and they came back and they were doing a lot of arguing, and the girlfriend had called 911 to report that there was a disturbance, and I went over there with another deputy. And when I pulled up to this house, there was this dirt gravel kind of driveway that led up to the house, and off to the side was this massive oak tree.
Hey, Jim, hold on a second. I got to tell you about something. You ever heard of a thing called Every Plate?
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you why it's popping in my mind right now, because that call, I remember I was single. I was a detective and I was single, no wife, etc. And I was always eating fast food or getting takeout, etc. But now that they have a thing called Every Plate, and it's much cheaper alternative to takeout or delivery. All the food shows up. Everything's in one box. Your meat, your sides, your fresh vegetables. It's packed in dry ice. And, it saves the time on meal planning and shopping and the prepping, and it takes the guesswork out of cooking, right?
Yes, sir.
And you never buy more ingredients than you need, because Every Plate recipes come with everything pre-measured. The difference between Every Plate and all the other major meal kits out there is Every Plate is up to 58% cheaper than their competitors, even at their regular price.
Yes.
Jim, my box came with 3 complete meals. One was a great center cut pork chop with some breading that went on it with broccoli and mashed potatoes. Another one were cherry meatballs, the recipe, once you put it together, cherry meatballs and zucchini and another side. And then get this, they had a blackened Cajun chicken. So it came with the chicken breast, the pasta, everything you needed to do it. I mean, it was just, and it really is good. Easy to cook. It's got a recipe cards that tell you step by step, and it's not on some cheap piece of paper. It's like a glossy recipe card. And so I thought that was cool. But then the food was just delicious. So you can get 3 weeks of Every Plate meals for only $2.99 per meal by going to everyplate.com and entering code RLRC3. Again, you get 3 weeks of Every Plate meals for only $2.99 per meal by going to everyplate.com and entering code RLRC3. That's up to a $72 value, y'all. That's 40% off each of your first 3 boxes. I'm telling you, it's good.
Yes.
Go ahead, Jim.
I mean, this tree was just huge. And I just instinctively remember seeing that tree when I pulled in, and I went up and made contact with the one who called, which was the girlfriend, and her boyfriend, and they had resided together and were just, man, this is like too much to drink, and just were arguing back and forth. Anyway, when there was no crime that had taken place, they hadn't done anything to each other, just arguing. They were going to separate from each other for a while, and there really wasn't anything else that we could particularly do.
They called 911 because it was a 103D, right? A domestic disturbance.
Correct.
Even though
it was a 103D, which is a disturbance.
Right.
And so after we take all the measures that we can, and there's no physical signs of abuse, there's nothing that's been broken, they're just arguing. It happens. People argue, they call. There's nothing there. One saying that they're going to leave and, stay somewhere else, sleep it off, and come back the next day. You're going to get picked up by a friend, So when I left the residence with that other deputy, I decided to park about a mile away, because a lot of times when you leave like that on a disturbance, you get called back. And it's not uncommon to get called back within a few minutes. I want to say it was probably between 10 and 15 minutes that I had parked literally a mile away from this area, and the 911 call came in again. Again, it was the girlfriend calling in about the disturbance, and she had also called that there was going to be what we refer to as an A-29S, which is an attempted suicide. So I immediately put my unit in drive, and I start heading there quickly. The other deputy was right there behind me, and as I pulled in, I see the guy from that big oak tree, and about 10 feet up was this limb that came over, and this limb was probably about as round as my body. And he had this rope tied around it, and there was a ladder. There was a ladder right behind it that he walked up. And so as I came pulling up, he jumped off with the noose around his neck, and he started swinging. And I remember him going back and forth, and I got out of the car along with the guy behind me and the deputy behind me. We went sprinting towards the tree, and I grabbed his body and lifted up to take the pressure off of his neck, while the other guy actually cut the rope. But unfortunately, it was too late, and there was too much damage that was done from the initial jump off that he did. And actually, you came in to work it from there.
Yeah, you know what? When you said the oak tree, I knew it. That one always pops in my mind, because for years and years, when I drove by that place, I always think, gosh, this is going to sound harsh, but I always kind of called it the swinging tree, because it's where the guy swung and hung himself. So yeah, I remember that. When I pulled up, of course, y'all had him down, and he was 10-7, and he was dead. I think it was a choker. It was one of those things like a toe strap, one of those big, thick toe straps.
Yeah.
That's what I remember, because I remember they had a tough time cutting it because it was one of those thick toe strap things. But so, I mean, there you go. That's a prime example. Alcohol involved. And look, don't you know, she felt horrible. I interviewed the female, and even though they had been fighting, et cetera, she didn't want to see that. And could have been avoided, I guess, right? Too much alcohol or I don't know. I mean,
It's completely avoidable. I mean, if they just would have communicated with each other and slept off the drinks,
yeah,
it would have been just fine.
I didn't.
Taking it to the extreme.
In my mind's eye, I just, and I know people do it all across the world every day, but I'm not doing it. So I'm going to tell you this. If you ever find me and you have a suicide note that says I killed myself, you need to call a homicide detective, because I ain't doing it. I'm just telling you, I'm put that out there right now. Yeah, that was a bad one. And she was, I think I saw her like a year or two later, and she gave me a hug and et cetera. thanked me for, showing the respect and everything like that. But yeah, that was definitely a bad one, especially when you pull up on scene and you get to see him swinging, right?
Well, the part that always sticks out to me was just going on the call the first time and seeing that tree, but pulling up the second time and actually seeing him leap off.
Right.
That visual has never, ever left my mind.
Yeah.
I've just like you, I've driven past there so many times, and I can't help but look at it and remember what happened that evening. And it's disappointing because it was completely avoidable. There was no note. This was just too much alcohol involved and just overreacting and letting your emotions take the best of you. And it resulted in a cost of a life.
I think that we need to describe the I don't want to say gruesomeness or whatever, but people need to know. Maybe if people hear us just actually describe what it's like, and then when you see these bodies, et cetera, maybe when they're close to the line of doing it, they'll stop and think, oh, shit, I don't really want to go through that, right? So, when you jump off with that thing around your neck, naturally, I went to the autopsy on it. Even though we knew it was suicide, his neck was broken clean through, and then the neck had stretched out. It's just a bad deal. And of course, the eyes are bulging, the whole 9 yards. It's not a way you want to go, people. You don't have to do it. So,
that's right.
Well, I was thinking about one, Jim, that from way back in Uniform Patrol, it was a Sunday afternoon, and I got a call of a gunshot fired, and I'm not going to say any area, anything like this, but I wasn't far away, but it was a rural area. And when I pulled up to the house, there was nobody in the house, but there was a neighbor that heard the gunshot. And that's not uncommon to hear gunshots in a rural area, but for some reason, they called it in. And I just want to kind of do like a welfare check, or, I was in the area, so I'll swing through, see what's going on, right? And most people don't know that in Livingston Parish, you're not supposed to fire a firearm within 500 feet of your residence. And everybody you try to tell that to in the rural parts, like, you can go to hell, it's my house and my farmland, I can do whatever I want to, right? So anyway, for whatever reason, I just happened to swing through, and there were no family members there. And a pool, they had a circular driveway went around the residence. And when got to the backyard, I saw an old man on the ground with like a lawn chair, but it was one of those wooden ones. What do you call it? Aerodynamic, whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It was one of those chairs tipped over side on the ground. I'm like, maybe the dude had a heart attack or something. I get out and I go look, and I see a 12 gauge shotgun. And he was laying on the ground and on his side, and that's why I was coming from his back. That's why I didn't see the shotgun at first. And when I got past where the chair point was and was able to come around and look at his front, he had a hole in his chest you literally could see through. There was nothing there. And what he did was, you say, how can you kill yourself with a shotgun? Well, evidently what he did was he was sitting in that chair. He took his right shoe off and sock off. He put the shotgun between his legs on the ground, and he reached down and he pulled the trigger with his big toe and killed the shit out of him, right? He accomplished what he wanted to do. He rolls over on the ground with the, so I called anyway, for, not that the guy was alive. You could put your head through the hole that he had in his chest, but your volunteer firemen, and I love them, y'all, and they saved our ass every night, whether it's working accidents and working traffic or whatever, patching us up or whatever. But they're also kind of funny. They're eager, and this is what sticks in my head kind of about this one. One of the volunteer firemen showed up when they all monitor their police band radios, and I never understood that culture in Livingston Parish. Like, a lot of the citizens have police band radios, but anyway, the firefighter shows up, and it's not funny, but the firefighter shows up, and the firefighter shows up, and because I called it in, gunshot, man down, etc. Basically send everybody. But there was a volunteer firefighter was one of the first ones on the scene, and he ran up and he grabs the guy's arm and goes, "I think I got a pulse," and starts working on him. And I'm like, come on, man. Yeah, but I mean, maybe it was good training for him or whatever. But I mean, the hole was so big you could literally see the grass on the ground through his chest. So he was definitely 10-7. But here's the story on it. I found out was he had actually been placed under arrest for molesting his grandchildren, and that was on a Sunday, and Monday was his trial. He was going to trial the next day. So I don't know if he's guilty or innocent. Maybe if he killed himself because he didn't want to go to the trial, whatever. But he damn sure did it, And y'all. I always say when you pull that trigger, when I train people on firearms, et cetera, they say when you pull that trigger, you'll never get that round back or that bullet back. And you can't. Another sad story. I don't know how he could have avoided it, but it's just another suicide. I mean.
Wow.
So you got one.
Got my another one. Actually assisted another agency with a suicide that had happened. It was over a weekend. I'll never forget. It was actually at a hotel in Denham Spring. There's numerous ones. Then at this hotel, I ended up going there to assist, and I'll vividly remember walking into the room, and there was a guy who had no shirt on, no socks, no shoes, but he had on Houston Rockets shorts.
The H-Town.
And he was from Texas. Now, he ended up writing some notes for his children.
Yeah, that's certainly not uncommon in suicide cases, and we can talk about that more in a few minutes, but that's pretty standard for people to take the time to do it. Go ahead, Jim.
When I saw his body, he was like his legs, if you were to take the corner of the bed, like his feet were kind of off the floor but close to it. His body went across that corner, but he really had no head. And the reason for it is there was a shotgun on the ground, is he blew his head off with a shotgun, and his teeth were literally stuck in the ceiling.
Jeez, that's a mess.
I mean, there was nothing left of his head whatsoever. He blew that straight off. There was nothing there. And so there was blood, there was brain matter, there was pieces of skulls, hair, and his teeth. And I remember having to look up there and shine the light because we had to go and try to recover all the teeth that were stuck inside the ceiling of the hotel.
Right. Hey, let me ask you this on the shotgun part. But you think he put it in his mouth or pulled it with his toes? I mean, most people don't understand how you can shoot yourself with a shotgun.
I assisted on this one, and I believe he may have pulled the trigger with his toe. I just know that it was laying on the floor in front of him, and he put it underneath his chin. That's where the initial, and it went straight up and through.
Wow.
And so all of the bone fragments in his mouth, his cheeks, his nose, everything, teeth, and it just shot straight up and into the ceiling and just all onto the back wall. I mean, it was everywhere. And the notes that he wrote to his children were his last goodbyes to his kids. And this guy, the reason he did it is because he got tired of always being reported for either lack of child support, lack of alimony, anything that he did. His ex just made his life a living hell. And it just got to the point where he just felt like he was better off to be gone. And he ended up writing those notes to his kids and basically explain his reasons, and that he loves them and that he wishes they're going to have a lot of success in their life. And it was just his last words to his children, but also a little dig towards the ex-wife as to why she drove him to do this.
Yeah.
And that crime scene, or not crime scene, because after we worked it anyway, I mean, it was very gruesome. I mean, if you can just imagine literally picking out teeth out of ceilings.
That's a lot.
And the bone fragment.
Yeah, that's a lot of force.
All the furniture had to be moved completely out. Every single thing had to be combed over. All the carpet had to be torn up. All the wallpaper had to be changed.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, we were literally finding skull and bone fragments, just hundreds upon hundreds of pieces.
Yeah, when you do that under the chin, the teeth would have been, and the chin bone would have been one of the last things to hit the ceiling. The whole skull and the hair and brain and eyes and everything else goes first, right? So, but it still had enough force for the teeth to get embedded in the ceiling. That's pretty sick. I mean, again, let's talk about his reason for it. But he's saying his ex-wife made his life a living hell. But I mean, I'm sure she made it a living hell for a reason, right? I mean, it's a series of things. Like you said, he took the jab and the note at the end towards her. But let me talk about that real quick. Y'all, I've been in numerous suicide prevention classes, et cetera, way back when I started in corrections and then in detectives and stuff like that. There's certain signs you can look for on people like this. I'll give you an example, the Christopher Pell case, where he murdered his wife in Popeyes, right? But before he did that, they say that people that have resigned, that are not under the influence of alcohol, it's not in the heat of the moment. People like this guy, they'll take times and write notes, or they'll call their estranged loved ones they haven't talked to in years and chat them up like everything's fine. Christopher Pell took his mama and his aunt to lunch at Ryan's, or here's a big one: they'll give away their most prized possessions to their kids or to whomever it is. So Uncle Joe's got this, great great guitar, let's say, right? And he's had it his whole life, and all of a sudden, he's been depressed, and he calls you over and he gives it to you. Maybe you want to try to get him some help. But there's a lot of signs like that, and of course, notes are self-explanatory. But the other behaviors, they reach a peace and a calm. People that are sober reach a peace and a calm because they're resigned to do it, and they're resigned to go ahead and kill themselves and move on to the next life. So those are very real telltale signs. So
I'm glad you mentioned that, Woody, because that's so accurate. And when you look back at a lot of the cases that we've worked over the years, and a lot of the suicides that have happened, that's exactly what they did, is they're giving out a lot of their prized possessions or just doing something completely out of character that they've never done before. And it's almost like, for someone, it's just some of those signs you just need to really pay attention to. It's just completely out of place. And when they're not someone that's really giving of their items, or one that's really going to take you out to eat or do those kind of things, and now all of a sudden their most prized possessions that they cherish and will never want to be away from. Heck, they may not even really wanted you to see it, let alone now they're all of a sudden going to give it to you. I mean, that's it's a major red flag as something's to come. And it's the time to start asking some questions.
Same thing, especially about the phone calls. We had to find these victims, or I guess they're self-victims. We had to find these deceased people's family members and make death notifications on every one of these. Now, sometimes, of course, they're right there. Sometimes they're out of state or whatever. We say when they're out of state and we had to call them, they'd be like, "Oh, you know what? It was strange, detective. He called me today. I hadn't talked to him in 3 years. We had a blowout, and he called me today and just told me that he loved me, and he was sorry, and I'm a wonderful person, and I did so much good for him in his life, and here he is, shot himself or whatever," right? So, but those are very real signs, y'all. I mean, they actually teach that in classes. Jim, I'm gonna do another one. Let's see. I'm gonna talk about ones that you would never be able to guess the outcome of. It's certainly different. There was one. There was a couple. A guy had gone out drinking, and he came home to his significant other, and they had a 4-year-old, and they got into it in the living room. I don't know what about but they were sitting on the couch together. And the 4-year-old's playing on the floor in front of him, and this dude in the middle of the conversation pulls out a Beretta 9mm, stuck it in underneath his chin. That's what maybe popped in my head when you said that the guy put it under his chin. Put it underneath his chin and literally blew his face off. And then she calls 911, and we get there. Dude is still alive, and you can't see the whole front of his face is gone. You're literally looking at bone. All his teeth are blown out, but the nose is gone. The eyes. Literally, it's almost like he scalped the whole front of his face off, but he was alive. He was breathing, and we got medical there. And they took him in, and I never found out what happened, but obviously, he did it. There was no foul play. But again, alcohol is involved in that one. But I have to think, so people, if you're thinking about doing it, you're thinking you're going to take this quick, painless way out, I'm pretty sure the guy probably did die, but he didn't die for a while, and he was definitely in pain.
Did you work that as a detective or as a uniform patrol?
As uniform was the first one to respond. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a real deal, and never painless. Well, let's talk about another segment of it, Jim. Statistically, women do not shoot themselves. That's a very rare percentage, but I have had it happen. But normally females won't shoot themselves because they don't want to mess up their face for the funeral. It's a fact. And where guys would be more tend to shoot themselves. But I've worked many females that have shot themselves, but it's very rare. Normally it's a pill overdose or maybe a hanging or a big one for females is the slicing of the wrist.
You mentioned the slicing of the wrist, and I'm going to cut in on that because there have been times, and it brings up another one where a female continued to make slices on her wrist. Now, a lot of times it was on the top of her wrist, then it turned to the inside of her wrist, and she would make these marks, and so she would have all these lines, and nobody ever questioned her on these. And that's something to look for. Like that's a cry for help. When somebody is continuously slicing at their arm, slicing at their wrists, it's a cry for help. That's not normal behavior. Yeah. And that's something that needs to be addressed, because this poor girl one time eventually decided she was going to do it for real. She had been marking on her arms for a while. It was obvious, at least when we seen her, it was obvious that she had all these markings on there. The scarring on there was at a different phase. The part that always sticks out to me was just nobody noticed that she had been making all these marks on her arm until the day that she actually took her life. And it's just sad that nobody paid attention to this girl. This was a teenage girl, y'all. A teenage girl. One of her friends had to notice, a family member had to notice, because we were able to observe all the different markings that she had on her wrist, and some of the scarring was old, then there were newer cuts, and you could just see the pattern, and it was a cry for help. Yeah, and nobody paid attention.
Let's talk about that real quick. I guess we've had so much training on Jim that that's self-mutilation, when people cut or hurt themselves continuously, and actually it makes them feel good. That makes them feel, for an instant, when they have that other pain, it takes away whatever hurt psychologically it is that they're going through. So you're right, that it is a straight up sign, and eventually a lot of men do end up killing themselves, whether it's on purpose or by accident. So if you have a friend, you see continuous cuts and scars on, or a teenager, or whatever, that's a sign. Obviously, that something's wrong. So y'all, kids do it too. I mean, it's a hard thing to hear, but man, that's the worst ones to go work. And I do this one real quick, Jim. It was a little 16-year-old girl. I got the call as a detective, and I'm not going into any details, but that her parents got home and she wasn't there, and it was not like her, etc. And long and the short of it is, we got there, and I found crumpled up in her wastebasket was a picture of herself, or a picture of a girl, a stick figure girl with long hair, shooting herself with a gun. And when I asked family members, I said, "Do y'all have any firearms in the house?" And they did. And when they went to find it, they couldn't find the pistol. And we found her probably like 6 hours later in the woods behind the house, single gunshot wound to the head, which she definitely was stressing, right? Yeah, it's just sad.
That just brings tears to my eyes thinking of some of this. So much life to live.
Yeah.
And so young, and you just wish you can get to them in time to get them the help that they needed, so they could live a long, prosperous life.
For them, they think that their pain is so real, right, that they think that's the only way out. I mean, and that's why I say, hey, if you ever find Woody Overton with it, I ain't do it. That's why I want to take a few minutes and do what we're doing today. Hopefully somebody can hear this and will either the thought of the pain the person went through at the last second, or whatever, man. It's just not that bad. Get some help. I mean, do you experience stress or have anxiety or chronic pain or have trouble sleeping at least once a week?
Yes.
I do. And my big deal is not being able to sleep. For years, I had to take medicine every night to go to sleep. And then I found Feels. Now, what is Feels? Feals. Feels is a premium CBD delivered directly to your doorstep. Feels naturally helps reduce stress, anxiety, pain, and sleeplessness. Y'all, I take the Feels at nighttime, a couple drops under the tongue, and I fall asleep. I wake up feeling refreshed. There's no hangovers, no addiction. Like I said, it's easy to take. You put a few drops under your tongue of Feels, and you feel the difference within minutes.
I agree with you.
Feels also has real human support. People that are new to CBD don't really understand it. You call the Feels up, and they have a CBD hotline. You'll get to talk to a real person who can help you with it. The membership, you join the Feels community to get Feels delivered to your door every month. You'll save money on every order, and you can pause or cancel at any time. Feels has me feeling my best every day, and it can help you too.
Yes.
Become a member today by going to feels.com/RLRC, and you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. That's FEALS.com/RLRC to become a member and get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. Feels.com/RLRC. Go ahead, Jim.
Right. Another one I had worked was another one in uniform patrol. This particular male took his own life. He had dealt with a lot of tragedy leading up to this. He had lost a child, and not a young baby, like early 20s child. Had also lost their spouse, and was just going through a great deal of pain and didn't want to feel that pain anymore. We ended up getting a call of a gunshot, what we refer to as 103G, heard in this back of this residence. We pulled up there, started searching around, and in the back of this residence was like this, like a detached garage, like a garage that typically would be with the house, but it's actually behind. And as you're going through there, and that's the area that is reported, the doors were open. It could shine a light in there. When I shine a light, I could see a body on the ground. And so I had gone in, I had another unit with me, another deputy, and when we went in, I just remember literally having to see this mass amount of blood. I mean, there was just blood all over the floor, and it was still kind of coming out of his chest, and he actually took a pistol and shot himself directly in the heart. And as his body was dying, his body's still pumping out that blood, and it just, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that much blood on the ground as I did then. Just his position, and it just kept coming out and coming out.
Well, that means he lived a long.
Know, and we block it off and work it.
Yeah, that means he lived and suffered for a long time, people. So
it's
not always easy like you think it's going to be. The 90% of them aren't. I can assure you of that. I have one more. I want to talk about because we work so many of them with gambling, y'all. So many people, good people that had great lives, great careers and stuff, and they get off and the gambling got out of control. And if I wouldn't say this, but this is the number one reason for suicides that I ever worked, besides dope and the heat of the moment cases, right? Is people had got themselves so far in debt that they did it. And one lady, I said females don't shoot themselves that often, but she actually was living in an apartment, and I got the call of the gunshot, went in. Actually, I got called as a detective, went in. She was laying half in, half out of her closet. She had picked up she made a big pillow rest of towels and put them underneath her head and shot herself so she wouldn't make a mess, right? I mean, she's even thinking, and she's going out the door, she's thinking that I don't want to make a mess for the people in the apartment. But it was over gambling debt. And I mean, just so many of those. Look, if you got a gambling problem, get some help. The numbers are out there. And you know what we're going to do, Jim? We're going to have Cindy put up the numbers for suicide hotlines or whatever in our show notes today. I just feel very strongly about it. And y'all, we have hundreds of these, and we could go on forever. But just, if you're thinking about doing it, call somebody. I know what I want to say. A lot of times, the families don't want to believe it's a suicide, and especially cases when you show up and there's 2 spent casings on the ground before the person shot themselves. Well, the other thing they'll do a lot of the times is they will test fire the weapon before they put it in their mouth and kill them, or shoot themselves in the head or whatever. So that's another thing. It's hard. It's hard for a family member to accept that their loved one was in such a bad place, because a lot of it, especially in the gambling and stuff like that, they keep it hidden for so long, right? But anyway,
right.
This is a tough episode today. It's real life, real crime in the aspect that it's what cops have to go through every day, and we wanted to bring it to you from a standpoint of don't do it. Get some help. So hell, you call me, I'll talk to you. I mean, Don't do it. It's not worth it. I promise you. No matter how bad you think it is, you can get help and get better. There's somebody that's been through your shoes, somebody that's been in the spot that you're at, and just don't do it. So we'll put all the stuff in the show notes and everything, different numbers to call and whatever. But I just, I feel very strongly about it. If you had worked as many as we had, hundreds I've worked of people that killed themselves, when at the end of the day it could have been avoided. But if they had the resources or whatever. So
I agree with you. They definitely can be avoidable, and just ask for help. I mean,
it's sad.
That's really what it comes to. Somebody out there is going to listen. Somebody out there is going to talk to you. Someone out there is going to give you the help that you need.
Yeah.
So you can see what the rest of your life has in store for you. There's a lot of people out there that talk about their stories where they've reached rock bottom and they thought that there was no more that they had to give, but they reached out for help and they asked for some help. And you know what? They've reached their greatest heights of success.
Absolutely.
After that, because they got the help they needed. They worked through their issues and they found just unmeasurable amount of success.
Right.
After they've been on the rock bottom.
Right. And I must say this because it pops in my mind. And I've always said, and I wouldn't be being honest to myself if I didn't say it. And I'm sure somebody's going to get pissed off about it. But I also personally think that committing suicide is one of the most selfish things that you can do, because you leave behind somebody. I don't care if you're fighting with your mom and your daddy, your husband, whatever. They don't want to see you die. Don't be selfish. Get some help. Reach out, and it can be avoidable. So I think that's it, Jim.
I think that's it.
Yeah. But y'all,
tough episode.
Yeah, tough episode. But you know what? If one person hears it, and we'll never know about it, but if one person hears it and says, you know what, I don't want to do that now, then it'll be worth everything. So, but let's go on, y'all. That's the end of the episode for today. And until next time or ever, don't let us catch you down on murder by you. Peace. All right. Lifers, a couple announcements and then things we want to talk about real quick. First of all, the Krewe Bash, smashing success. Adult party to the rooftops, right? We blew it out. Tom Play, Toby and Shelly, and About Last Night rocked the house. I mean, they blew it out. I was jealous, man, because we were upstairs taking pics for so long, and I wanted to get down and cut a rug, right? Throw down with them, but I heard my wife took care of most of that for me. But it was a great time. Thanks everybody for coming out. We really appreciate y'all, and y'all, the music was fantastic. The story was great. The crowd was phenomenal. The place was packed, right? But, it is what it is. I think everybody had a great time. And so I want to talk about that with they surprised us on stage afterwards with a recording of some people that are very near and dear to Jim and I, not only family members, but some of the top podcasters in the world that we've become friends with, actually took the time to record statements for us. And I don't think the place was so loud and cutting up so much by this point. I mean, we've been on stage for a couple hours and everybody was at the parade before and everybody was hammered. I was having trouble hearing it and she was playing in my ear. So what I'd like to do, Jim, I'm going to add that when we get done talking here.
Okay.
And it's important. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of y'all who took your time to do that for us. It means a lot to me. I listened to it at like 4 o'clock that morning, brought tears to my eyes. So it really means a lot to me and I appreciate it. I
actually listened to it 2 hours ago.
Yeah, there you go. Right?
Again.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man, and we appreciate everybody's well wishes and thank you, shout outs, etc. Now, Jim, what's the name? Because you know how bad I am for names, y'all. We had a guy that dropped an episode on his own podcast on Sunday.
Jim Chapman.
Jim Chapman, that's it. Jim Chapman does a podcast about all things paint, right? So he's a paint salesman and he does a podcast about paint. Well, guess what? I don't really listen to podcasts anyway. But he had posted a link to this. Well, his wife is a huge fan of Real Life, Real Crime. And so for Valentine's Day, he took her to the Bash. And he went in and left this totally unsolicited. I don't know the guy. I met him that night. I didn't know he was going to do this. And he went in, if you want to hear a true, unsolicited, unbiased, if you will, opinion of the Krewe Bash and what you miss, then y'all go give his podcast a listen. And it's on all our social media sites, etc. It's really pretty cool.
It's Chapman's Paint Podcast. Chapman's Paint Podcast.
Yeah, y'all check him out, especially if you're into paint, right? I mean, it's a cool dude. I mean, I was kind of blown away by it. But I mean, he didn't hold any punches. He called it just like it was. But, we're pushing 1.3 million downloads. You Patreon members, we love you. You'll get your next episode in probably less than 2 weeks. If y'all don't know about that, I think we have 7 or 8 episodes locked up, Jim. I think.
Right. It's about at least 7 hours worth.
7 different full episodes. And listen, we put some of our best episodes in Patreon, period. And some of our funniest and raunchiest and most serious episodes are there. So if you can be a Patreon member, awesome. If you can't, we get it. And but y'all, we love you all regardless. And if you'll just keep liking us and sharing us, listen, our private Facebook page, Real Life, Real Crime, Friends, Fans, and Crew grew by over 3,000 members this week. We're well over 15,000 now. It's crazy. I mean, y'all keep sharing us and showing the love, and we appreciate it. It's awesome. But y'all keep doing it. And if you don't mind leaving us a review wherever you listen to podcasts, or whether it's Apple or whatever, we just appreciate and love y'all.
Don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram. It's Real Life, Real Crime, Overton Woody, or Jim_Rathman.
Right. And last two things, and I'm going to leave it at this. Always and foremost in our mind is justice for Courtney Coco. So y'all we got to keep the fight up for her, and we will get justice for her. Now, the next two things I want to talk about. First is next week we are going to be airing our first episode on the new big cold case, and it's the one you've all been waiting on that we get asked about all the time. And I'm gonna have a special guest on, and we're gonna lay out the original facts of the case. Then some more Real Life, Real Crime, fun stuff that's coming up. So we appreciate y'all. Jimmy, got anything else?
No, I think you said it all. Appreciate and love all of you.
Yeah, y'all rock. Wouldn't trade any of y'all for any other fan from anybody else in the world. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So we love you. We appreciate you. Peace.
Hi, Woody. Okay, 50 years ago, you gave me one heck of a backache, and we've had some really ups and downs in between, but I'm super proud of you and super proud of the podcast and all you're achieving. Love you much, Mom.
Hey, Jim and Woody, Tom Rathman Sr. here. I just want to congratulate each of you on your 1-year anniversary, your podcast awards, your 1 million downloads, and your live shows. Guys, keep up the good work. The best just come. Have a great night tonight.
Hey, Jim and Woody. Stephanie here. Wanted to wish a very happy anniversary to Real Life, Real Crime. You should be incredibly proud of your accomplishments over the past year. I mean, 1 million downloads and a People's Choice Podcast Award. It takes some serious perseverance and grit to have attained this in just 12 months. And I hope that you guys take the time to reflect and celebrate, and cheers to an even more amazing year ahead.
Hey, Woody, it's your big sis. I just wanted to say congratulations and so excited about all that you're doing. You're amazing, and happy birthday to you. I love you.
Hey, y'all. It's Tom, Woody, and Jim. I just want to congratulate you both on a fantastic 2019. You both had so many huge milestones that were achieved in your first year with Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. First of all, congratulations on the 1-year anniversary, the 1 million downloads, and of course the People's Choice Award. Also, 2019 was real special. You both cracked and solved a very special case for Courtney Coco and her family. You both should be so proud of that. I know you both are. We all know 2020 will be even more special. You know what, guys, let's hit that 2 to 3 million download mark. Also, happy 50th birthday to you, Woody. You're officially over the hill, my friend. Once again, fantastic year, guys. The sky's the limit, and don't let me catch any of you down on Murder Bayou. Peace.
Hey, Jim and Woody, this is Summer. I'm so proud of what you guys have done in one short year with this podcast, hitting over 1.2 million downloads and reaching so many people. I just wanted to tell Woody happy birthday, and y'all keep up the good work.
Hey, Woody, it's Colette. I just wanted to tell you congratulations on the amazing success of Real Life, Real Crime. You are doing awesome. You're the best storyteller out there. And being able to combine your passion for law enforcement with your talent for storytelling has just made an amazing podcast that I love listening to. I'm really proud of you and can't wait to see where your success takes you. Congratulations. I love you. Happy birthday.
Hey, Woody and Jim. It's Lori and Emily, the Accidental Influencer Sisters. We are so excited to be a part of this journey with y'all and having this bring our friend Cindy into our life. Can't wait to see what the future holds. The best is yet to come. We love y'all.
Hey everyone, it's Mike Morford, host of Criminology, The Murder of My Family, 3 Minute Mystery, and probably 6 or 7 other podcasts I forgot about. I just wanted to reach out to tell the team at Real Life Real Crime that it's great news that you guys hit your 1-year anniversary and have 1 million downloads in the bank. That is tremendous, and it's the sky's the limit, so keep it up. I know that you guys do a lot of great work over there. Woody, Jim, Cindy, Christine. It's a group effort, and you're all working to do good stuff, so congratulations on that. And I hear Woody is celebrating a 50th birthday. Don't worry, they say that is the new 30. At least I hope so, because I'm heading towards 52. But anyway, keep up the great work. Happy birthday, Woody, and hope to meet you all in person real soon.
This is Michael Ojibwe from the Invisible Choir True Crime Podcast, and I want to send a huge congratulations out to Woody Overton and Jim the Hitman Rathman, who are not only two of the best-looking podcasters to ever bless the microphone, but two of the most genuinely caring and fascinating storytellers I've come to know in this industry. After just 1 year, Real Life Real Crime has surpassed over 1 million downloads and received the 2019 People's Choice Award for storytelling. That's no small feat, so congratulations guys on your continued success and for offering up something truly unique and selfless in the true crime genre. You bring a level of truth, justice, and reality to the side of crime that few of us ever see or hear from. So thank you, Woody and Jim, for being you, and congratulations on all of your hard work and success now and into the future. I have every confidence that 2020 is the year we finally see justice for Courtney, in large part thanks to you two. So keep up the fantastic work, gentlemen, and Woody, happy 50th birthday.
Hi Woody, Jim and Cindy. It's Cambo here from True Crime Island. Congratulations on Real Life Real Crime's first birthday. You've really made a mark on the podcast scene this past year. Best wishes from everyone on the island for the future. And someone told me it's Woody's 50th birthday as well. So happy birthday, mate, and boom fakalunga.
This is Roseanne from the California Dreaming Podcast. I would like to say it has been a pleasure getting to know Woody and his co-host Jim and his entire crew over at Real Life Real Crime. You have accomplished so much in your first year of your show. You surpassed 1 million downloads, and I'm certain you are well on your way to millions and millions more. Your show was the recipient of the People's Choice Award for storytelling, and you yourself, Woody, turned the big 5-0. It was a big year, and it was very, very well deserved. Congratulations on the wins, the milestones, the successes, and of course, your show's first birthday. And here's to many, many more. Sending you all of our love from California Dreaming, and thank you so much for being a friend to our show as well.
Hey, Woody and Jim, it's Jamie over at Murderish. Hey, I just wanted to pop in here and tell you both I am so excited for you guys to reach 1 year and just to look back at all of the success that you've achieved on your podcast is amazing. You guys are doing the work of heroes, and your episodes make me cry. They make me laugh. They give me all the feels. So, I'm so excited to call you both my friends and really proud of both of you to see what you've been able to accomplish. And you guys are using your skills for good in the world. And you're going to get that Courtney Coco case solved. I just know it. So happy 1 year podversary. So proud of you guys. Can't wait to see you soon. And take care, guys. And cheers to many, many more years.
Hey, Woody and Jim. This is Kim, Nikki, Crystal, and Dina with the Bomb Deals. We want to congratulate you on your People's Choice Podcast Award. Congratulations on over 1 million downloads. Happy 1 year anniversary. And happy 50th birthday, Woody. Thanks for supporting us. We look forward to so much more for you guys in the future.
Bye. Hey, good evening. What's up, Jim? What's up, Woody? This is Aaron Goldsby coming to you live, raw, and unscripted here on the eve of the first annual Real Life, Real Crime Krewe Bash. And what a night it will be. It's been a great year so far. We'll be celebrating 1 year of the podcast. Very successful. In one short year, you guys, with hard work, dedication, and a wonderful podcast, were able to solve a 15-year cold case. And all we can hope for in the year to come is that justice will be served for Courtney Coco. Got a lot to celebrate, a lot to look forward to. Woody, happy birthday, brother. Hope you enjoy it. And it's going to be a good time, guys. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to see what the road brings, the road ahead. And, of course, as we all know and feel, it will be nothing but great success. Enjoy your night, have fun, and looking forward to it. Vote.
Sorry, couldn't help myself. Hey guys, it's Tyler from the Minds of Madness. So Cindy messaged me the other day, and apparently something pretty exciting is going on. A first-year anniversary. Over 1 million downloads. The People's Choice Podcast Award, which is pretty damn awesome. And Woody is 50 years old. Seriously, that's an incredible amount of achievements. And I gotta say, it's been a genuine privilege getting to know you. Watching your show grow. Seeing you in all those media outlets. Watching your online community just explode. And the best part? Calling you guys my friends. So I hope you guys have an amazing night. Woody and Jim, you're doing incredible. I'm so proud of you. And last but not least, Cindy, you're such an amazing and supportive person. And what you took on to help out Woody is fantastic. And of course, I can't help but look at myself and Beck, and I was lucky enough to have somebody to support me as well. So I'm going to sign off now. And congratulations for an incredible first year. So I hope you all have an amazing night. And don't get too silly. I think the world of you. And I'll see you at the end of April at CrimeCon. Have a good night, everyone.
Hey, Woody, it's your daddy. I'm so glad you finally got on the right side of crime. We were so concerned about you many years ago that maybe you might be an expert on both sides of crime. But now, since you have all that experience, 30, 40 years, retired from Louisiana State Police, all kind of investigative work, leading off into a wonderful, wonderful, joyful future, hopefully. And everything is just wonderful because of your background. And we're proud of it. And we're proud of your podcast, whatever that is. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'll know pretty soon. Thanks. Love you. Bye. Daddy.
Get ready, you're gonna do time. Real life, real crime.